Hello and welcome to the BSN monthly brief for October 2022. This monthly brief is a series where we share BSN news and updates with our community. So welcome, my name is Tim Bailey. I'm in charge of Red Date Technology and BSN's international business based here in Hong Kong. And we have Yifan, our founder and CEO, here with us for the monthly brief. So to start it off, we launched the BSN Spartan Network in Hong Kong early last month and generated some great news articles on the launch from such publications as the South China Morning Post, CoinDesk, Ledger Insights, Forkast News, as well as an article by CDO Trends, which talks about these new non-cryptocurrency public chains and how they can benefit mainstream IT organizations. So let's get right into talking about the BSN Spartan Network. Yifan, we had over 15 companies from Hong Kong, both local Hong Kong companies as well as global companies who built use cases on BSN Spartan, including Emperor Group, HSBC, Kwai Fong Group, Maxim's Group. Can you tell us a little bit about the benefits from using the BSN Spartan Network and why do companies like this work with the network?
Yeah, it was actually pretty surprising. We get so much traction from Hong Kong alone. Okay, it's like our team has like 3 to 4 people, and running around in 2 months, secure all those use cases, and also those use cases from very diversified industries. There's a retail chain, restaurant chain, bank, very old bank, and also there's a medical company from basically 15 of them. I think it's at least like 8 or 9 different industries. So, and also all the use cases is not really we went to them and tell them, okay, this is a use case you guys can do. It's actually we just went there and talk about the BSN Spartan Network and the public IT system concept, right? And you were there, so it's like in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they basically say, okay, we got it. And usually it's, the CIO, CTO, head of IT. And then they say, okay, and some of them immediately come up use cases, ideas. Then we immediately, second day, we, our technical team working with them, then basically build the smart contract and connect their traditional IT system to those smart contracts immediately, it works. So I think part of the reason is because some of the company already pay attention to public chain technology, but because of the cryptocurrencies, they are not even allowed to use public chain technology. Now we have the non-cryptocurrency public chain. Immediately it become very, very interested. There's for example for the banks, they are not even allowed to touch cryptocurrency. And for those large enterprises, I mean, if they want to use public chain, they need to tell their accounting financial department to buy cryptocurrency, and the financial department don't even know how to book that. It's like the inventory, it's money, it's investment. There's basically they couldn't even know how to do it. So then when we launched this non-cryptocurrency public chain based network, then immediately they say, okay, let's try. So I think we are in the right market. Actually, personally, I don't think it's a right market. It's we are creating a new market. So it's basically the public chain technology or public IT system kind of knowledge technology to serve traditional IT system, not the cryptocurrency. So those are very, very different. That's why in past 1.5 months since the launch, we talk with many people from the crypto world and many people even more people from the traditional IT world. So it's so obvious. It's for people from the traditional IT world can understand the concept immediately. Most of them, right? And then the people from crypto world, it's really hard for them to understand why we're even doing this. So I think that's exactly our position, the market position is to build a decentralized cloud services network, using those non-cryptocurrency public chain as an operating system. Then, to serve traditional IT enterprises, any enterprises with IT, needs or requirements. Then their IT department now have choices. It's some, data and processing in their private IT system. Some of the data and the process, they can move to a public IT system. So the benefits, we already talked many times. So I think, after the launch and you and I, did a roadshow, went to Europe, went to Middle East, Singapore. So we talk with, all those people. I think it gave us really the confidence we find a market, potentially a market there. So we can begin to working with multiple partners, multiple ecosystem partners, chain operators, data center operators, user cases. So we can actually, create a new market there and then provide a next generation of infrastructure, for all the traditional IT industries. So, and you always, you basically, led all the user cases efforts. Can you talk about some specific, user cases that surprised you? Yeah.
So you're turning it around. I thought I was the one asking the questions. Okay. So you're right. We got some really amazing use cases that were, it was really the companies that came up with them. As you said, it wasn't us that came up with them. I think one of my favorites is by this company called Prenetics. So Prenetics is headquartered here in Hong Kong, but they're a NASDAQ listed company, and they're have a presence in markets in Europe and other parts of Southeast Asia. And the company is a medical services company that provides testing services, so like COVID testing, but they also do DNA testing for consumers. And one of the things that they found with their testing services is that people are often reluctant to get tested for things because they don't know what happens to their DNA, right? And they want to keep their results private and their DNA private. And so what Prenetics has come up with is really two interesting ideas, and they've taken those ideas forward and built POCs on the first one, which is a decentralized testing service where the test sample and the individual's identity are separate. And so even the clinic that does the test on the sample can't connect back who the individual is, but the individual has a private key, and they can decide if they want to, disclose to the designated party the results of that test. So, for example, a COVID test, if they're traveling, and they can use their private key to disclose that information and verify the whoever they disclose it to can verify that it's in fact accurate and connected to that person. The second one that they're in the more early stages of talking about is a data vault for health records, for a patient's health records. And so we often talk about the public IT systems versus a private IT system. And today, your medical records are in private back-end IT systems in a hospital or a clinic or a doctor's office. And so Prenetics has come up with this really interesting idea of creating this personal data vault for your medical records, where you're in control of it. It's in a public IT system. You're the only one who has the private key, and you can decide, who you disclose the information to and what type of access, whether it's just read access for a certain part or read-write access if your doctor wanted to contribute some information to it. So both of these are really exciting ideas, and I think one of the most interesting things that happened out of it was that Prenetics, actually it kind of reshaped their mission as a company to become, what they're now calling the decentralized, testing company, which is great. The other one that I think was really exciting was the one from HSBC, where HSBC, a huge global bank, immediately understood the benefits of public chain technologies. But as you said, Yifan, they can't be involved in cryptocurrencies. And so, HSBC created this POC of a B2B payment system that enables payment instructions to be sent via the BSN Spartan Network and among HSBC's business customers. And what's interesting now is that many of the other use case partners, like Fujifilm, like some of the others, are now becoming part of this POC that the HSBC that the bank is doing. So it's really, I think it's the start of the BSN Spartan ecosystem, right? Where these companies get together and they see benefits of being involved and mutually involved in a public IT system type network. So, yeah, some really exciting use cases. And as you said, you and I were just traveling, and we were in Europe and Middle East and Singapore, and I'm really excited to see kind of the next iteration of those use cases that came from many of the people that we met on the trip.
Yeah, I want to add, it's the two user cases you mentioned, the Prenetics and the HSBC, they actually representing two major benefits of this kind of public IT system, the public chain IT. The first one is actually it's a data vault. Basically, I really love the Prenetics come up with this idea. It's separate the testing the business logic from identities. Basically it's like Facebook, they need to separate their, business from the user data. Then right. There's no business for them. So, yeah. But the question is, after you separate their user data, user identity, you definitely cannot store them still in your backend system. It's basically if you say, okay, I separate them into two tables in one single database, it's still the same. You actually move those data out of your private system and let user control it. Then the next question is how user control their data, where they store their data. Then we say, oh, they can build a data vault in their own cloud services account on AWS. Then the next question is, if you don't pay AWS going to continue let you use it, or they will delay the whole thing. If you forgot to pay, they will delay everything. So the most secure and the safe place is a public environment controlled by, let's say, 100,000 different entities. Okay. Then when your data is there and this kind of public chain based decentralized cloud services network, when your data is there, they charge you or we charge you by the usage, not by the application you deployed there. Which means if you never use your data, you never need to pay. So your data will stay there and nobody can delay that. Nobody can deny your access because it's not controlled by one party anymore. And when you want to use it, you pay a small fee to yourself because the gas fee is charged by the how many transactions and how big the transaction is. So that's actually the safest place on earth to store your personal data. So that's actually a main concept we try to push is just imagine in 10 years all the user data will move away from Facebook and Google, all those big platforms. Think about how internet will become. Then basically change everything, all the business model, all the cash flow, all the basically everything. So under the HSBC, the one actually is about the connectivity in a public IT environment, right? Because I think HSBC will slowly evolve that user case into something even powerful. Because it's a public IT system, so that's why their enterprise customers they don't need to go to their websites or app, submit the payments, click payments if they want to submit like 2,000 each day. Then they use their IT system directly connect to the smart contract, submit probably in 1 minute, 2,000 payment instructions are submitted. Then because it's a public IT system, the customer also can inform whoever the payee is, give them a small key. Then the payee can always check the smart contract, see the status of that payment. It's submitted, it's being processed, or it's wired, it's settled, everything. So it becomes very, very transparent to all parties involved because it's in a public IT system. And think about this smart contract link another 100 banks. Then each bank has their own payer and payee, and then the link together. It's even more powerful application or network than Swift. Just think about it. It's very small. It's probably you develop the whole thing. It costs you like $10,000 finish. Then you basically build a very huge financial infrastructure there by banks, and which much transparency, better transparency, cheaper operating cost, and much efficient. It's just changes everything.
But you find you bring up a bank, right? And one of the questions that I think people often ask is, okay, you're talking about public IT systems. Public makes it sound like, well, everything is out there and visible to everyone. So why would a bank be involved in this? Because banks are involved with sensitive data like payment amounts and things like that. So can you explain, why would a bank want to do something on a public IT system? Don't they need to keep things secure?
Sometimes the public system is even more secure, okay, because it's the public system is actually compared to the private system. So why public-private? So the key thing is who controls what. So it's a private system is controlled always by one entity, and the public IT system is actually controlled by multiple parties. So which means public is not like everything on that environment it can be viewed by everybody. No, it's you can always encrypt your data. You always can put different layers of permission, who can access, who can execute data, who can actually retrieve data, who can input data, who can even view data. It's the public chain technology. You can actually put a multiple layer on that because it's an operating system. Right. Right now, what we see is on the traditional public IT system, it's just wallets. You can see the wallet is some very simple IT process. So it's really depend on you how you process your data. But in a public IT system, it just make, for example, why banks even need Swift? Actually, Swift is a good example of public IT system if it's not controlled by one party. Okay, right. Let's say if Swift is controlled by 100 banks, okay, equal rights. They vote to make all the decisions. The 100 bank is 1/3 is from Asia, 1/3 from Europe, 1/3 from America. Let's vote. Let's make decision on Swift. Then Swift immediately become a public IT system. Then why banks want to connect to it? Because one single connection, you can communicate with 11,000 banks.
Right.
You don't want to build 11,000 APIs and connection to all the banks alone. You actually access a single. So the smart contract, think about that smart contract HSBC deployed as a Swift. Then like 11,000 banks connect to that smart contract. Immediately, it become a Swift. So that's why it's so easy to build, because Swift actually very expensive to access. You need to set up terminals, you need to set up gateways, you see, but because you need to connect all the private systems together. But this is more like a public environment, everybody can access. Then you deploy a program, everybody connect to it immediately. If you want to set up another Swift, it probably costs you at least $20 billion, I think, set up. But with this, it's like $10,000. Boom, right. Everybody can access to it. That's the cost. That's the cost benefit from a public IT system. Instead, just linking all the private system together.
Right. So, Yifan, we launched the BSN Spartan Network on September 6th, and we're currently in the beta testing stage, which will last until November 1st when we start the commercial launch of BSN Spartan. Can you talk a little bit about what are the incentives for beta testers during this period, and then I think most importantly, how would you recommend organizations and individual developers get involved with BSN Spartan?
Okay. First, we are also internally talk about the extend the beta period a little bit longer. Probably like by end of November or end of this year. Definitely, it's from next year we need to commercialize the whole thing because we put a lot of investment into this. And but I think during the beta, everybody can go to our website spartan.bsn.foundation. Okay, you go there, you can actually choose two ways to access BSN Spartan Network. One, it's you really want to test the full potential of the technology. You can just download our source code of the Spartan data center software from the GitHub, and then you can download the binary one, or you can just download the source code you compile by yourself. Then set up locally into your system. It costs a little bit money. It costs like with all the nodes of the non-public non-crypto currency public chains, 3 nodes altogether, it costs you probably $150 per month on AWS without the discount. Okay, so then you basically set up the Spartan data center, and you can get like $10 worth of our utility token, which is not transferable. Okay, only can be consumed to power the network. Then it's $10 worth of that each day. And also from the beta to the production version of Spartan, it will stay the same. So wherever you get the free NTT, you can use that in the future for the commercial phrase. So, but if you are just a developer, you say, okay, I don't want to install everything, I don't want to pay that $150 or $80 per month on AWS. So then you can just use the MetaMask to create your own private key and then register a wallet on BSN from BSN Spartan Network. Then you can just access the network and deploy your smart contract. Then with this, you can get like 1 NTT worth of gas credit each month, each day. Then you can test the network, call smart contract or deploy smart contract just like public chains. So it's and the gas cost is fixed. So you do the same transaction, it always remains the same. It's very, very low. Minting an NFT costs you probably like 2 cents, 3 cents US. So we welcome everybody come here if you are interested to test the network.
So Yifan, we talked earlier about the roadshow we did in Europe and Middle East and Singapore, and we talked to a lot of potential partners while we were there. Can you talk a little bit about what type of partners we're looking for with BSN Spartan and the support that we're able to provide them?
Okay, I mentioned we are trying actually to create a new market. Okay, what this market is, the market is called the decentralized cloud services network. Okay, but this cloud services is not like AWS, Google, Microsoft. Their cloud basically is built by themselves, controlled by themselves, and only serving the private IT system. So what we're trying to build is to serve public IT systems. So our services and those traditional cloud services are in parallel, are actually complementary to each other, right? You can deploy there. It's not like who will replace who. It's like there's cars, there's airplane, whoever you want to use them. So
you get choice.
Yeah, you make choice. I believe in 10 years, all the IT system will actually contain both parts and link them together, become the whole IT system for every single company. And so the network. It's a network, so it's a little bit like internet, early stage. Because the Ready and the BSN, partners, we basically focus on building the infrastructure. We cannot go to each country and working, to serve the end users. That's why we actually looking partners like the ISP in early internet. So whoever want to representing and doing the business and believe in this future market. And working with us, set up the data center in that specific country or territory, and become the ISP of the Spartan network, and provide services, onboarding customers, setting up new data centers in that territory, and even do consulting work, even hosting work. of their customers' data center. So there's a bunch of business opportunities there. If you believe in the technology and you believe in the market, you can actually reach out to us. So we hope our, we actually call this our SPs or distributors. We hope them, it's with a certain level of the technical background. If you have cloud resources, you can actually, just host the data centers in that country on your cloud. Okay, and also, you can build a data center provide access, which means, just like I said, some developers, they don't want to set up a data center. Then they can just go through your data center and pay the local currency to buy gas credit from you, from this data center, and they just access to their own business, Then as a data center, because you provide access, it's a little bit like the infra kind of business. Right. And so there's a bunch of opportunities if you truly believe in the technology and believe in the future, believe in this market. This is huge opportunity. It's like an early SP of the internet.
Right, exactly. So if you are interested, please do contact us at enquiry@reddatetech.com.hk, which is the address you're seeing on the screen there. Please do contact us. One of the things that we've talked about previously is the importance of training, young developers who are just getting started in school. Can you talk a little bit about, students in educational institutions and how they can get involved in the BSN Spartan Network?
Yes. We actually have we call BSN Spartan Education Program. So we can actually working with colleges, and the universities or just schools. It could be high school. Okay, we think it's the technology should be so common. It's any high school students who like programming should learn quickly. With the technology. So we actually offer all the schools, to set up a data center, a free data center, and each month by the beginning of each month there will be like I think it's $2,000 or to $3,000. A free entity will be minted inside that data center. Then school can use a free entity each month to top up their students' wallets. Then students basically can use the Spartan Network for free. So we also even encourage students can develop commercial services, commercial smart contract. Then of course when that commercial smart contract consuming too much the free entity, we suggest them to move out of the education program, become a commercial project. But we have different programs, help students to do that. So for any university, college, high school in any part of the world can come to us and can set up this education program. Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit about the technology itself. The BSN Spartan integrates 3 non-cryptocurrency public chains: a non-cryptocurrency version of Ethereum, non-cryptocurrency Cosmos, and non-cryptocurrency Polygon Edge. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between those different technologies and how a user would decide, which chain to use?
Yeah, it's first I want to explain why we need so many chains, 3 chains. We actually by end of next year, I think there will be 10. Okay, probably eventually grow to 15, 20. We won't give developers choices. Okay, that's first. We don't want just build one operating system, then everybody have to use that. We won't give choices. Second one is we believe there will be a huge market here. So we want each chain, because each chain has a company to operate that and maintain the codes. Everything is open source, but there's always a community, a group of developer or a commercial company behind each chain. We want them to compete with each other and to modify those chains to be more suitable to the traditional IT system. So we need a competition to advance the technology. That's why we also this competition also will cause the price drops. Right now, minting an NFT it costs you 2 or 3 cents. I think after 1 year or 2 years, it's below 1 cent. 1 cent.
Because of competition.
Because of competition. So that's why our BSN ecosystem are very, very competitive. we probably in some countries there will be multiple data centers set up and provide access to end developers. Then they will even pricing differently. Then they will provide their own different development tools, services, package, all kinds of. That's how the whole market is formed, and how the technology become better, and the cost become smaller and smaller. So that's something we truly believe. But those chains, we the way we modify them with our partners is just make the wallet non-transferable. So you only can consume, you use fiat money, purchase the gas credit, and consume them. You cannot transfer them. So that's bad. But everything else right now is exactly the same as the traditional those three public chains. So for the three, for example, the Ethereum is definitely more stable. It has been tested for almost 10 years, right? And the Polygon probably has a little bit better TPS, right? Because Polygon is a layer 2 solution. It's built to solve the low TPS problem of the Ethereum. So
it's optimized to maximize TPS.
Yes. And the Cosmos, it's better with the interchain technology. And their NFT, native NFT, program is very, very efficient. So each chain has. We actually encourage everybody to learn of them, then to compare, who is better. Then whoever is not better will probably try to become better. That's how the technology involves.
Yeah, exactly.
So that still I want to emphasize the competition is a key.
Yeah. Okay, great, Yifan. Let's shift to talk a little bit more. Talk about the BSN seasonal updates for this month. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the enhancements on the BSN International official website, which is www.bsnbase.com. We've optimized the BSN International portal. It's now based on what we call Enterprise BSN, which will improve the user experience. We fixed some bugs in some of the package dependencies of the BSN DID services to make them more secure. And then on the BSN DDC network, we've now launched the Corda-based open permission blockchain, which is called Zoom chain. And we've made the source code of the DDC vault is now open source. On BSN Spartan, so we launched the BSN Spartan Network international portal. That's at spartan.bsn.foundation. That integrates the three non-cryptocurrency public chains we talked about earlier, officially called Spartan 1, which is based on Ethereum, Spartan 2, based on Cosmos, and Spartan 3, which is based on Polygon Edge. We've embedded a governance model within that network to ensure the decentralization and co-governance by the BSN Foundation, which we will announce some more news over the next couple months on the foundation. We've implemented a virtual data center management system and then deployed smart contracts and deployed a smart contract to enable official DID services and an official NFT smart contract.
Yeah.
So let's, Yifan, let's talk a little bit about, I've got some questions for you about those networks. Let's first talk about the BSN DDC network. As we know, ERC 4907 allows NFTs or a NFT or DDC owner to permit another individual to use their NFT or DDC for a designated period of time. Now that ERC 4907 standard has been deployed on the Corda-based Zuni chain, can you tell us a little bit about some of the business scenarios for ERC 4907?
Okay, it's first, I think whoever is new to BSN is totally confused by all the names, right? DDC, Spartan, everything. So let me do a very quick. entire BSN technology have like two major categories. One we call enterprise BSN. Okay, enterprise BSN is very heavy enterprise level software we install actually into data centers, into the physical data center or the private cloud, intranet or public cloud, enable that entire cloud to be very blockchain efficiency. And inside their cloud, you can manage let's say 100,000 different nodes, very efficiently, and link them together, link to outside chain or export the nodes to outside to set up. Basically, can manage everything. We support all the blockchain technology in the world. The permission, the public, non-crypto public, and open permission. So everything is big environment, but install into a cloud environment. Okay, and so that's one category. The second category we call BSN public BSN. It's a public network. Everybody can very easy to access. They don't need if they don't want, they don't need to set up a data center. They can very easy just to access and pay for the resources they are using. And even if they want to set up a data center, it's very light. Okay, it's just contain the chain they want to use. And the DDC network is a Chinese network. Okay, because by Chinese internet regulations, we have to, divide the public BSN into two different networks. One inside China called the BSN DDC network. Outside China is BSN Spartan Network. But they are, the same, very similar, but they use different operating systems. Outside China, we use non-cryptocurrency public chains. Inside China, we use open permission chain. Everything, all those chains are converted from the public chain technology. So basically that's the BSN technology stacks. Okay, and one of the open permission chain on DDC network is called the Zunyi chain. It's based on the CODA. This is actually amazing modification of blockchain technology. The partner we are working with, SLab, is probably the number one company in China, who are it's basically the best one for CODA, technology. So they actually build the CODA into a public chain-like environment, and also enable the ERC 721, the standard one, and also the new one. The smart contract there. So for user just to connect to the smart contract, you don't need to set up the CODA node. You can just access the smart contract and do on this kind of CODA chain. It's amazing. It's the first one in the world, okay, to convert the R3's CODA into a such. But the smart contract they are promoting is called the ERC
4907.
Yeah. So that basically is outside China. I think there's also similar ones on Ethereum. But basically, you can launch NFT to someone to use in a certain period of time. Right, then when which means technically inside the NFT there's owner and there's a user. They divided the permission, and the user in that period of time have full control of this NFT, to do verification. And of course you cannot transfer that to change the owner. So the user cases, I think one of the user cases is some kind of certificates, then you can actually get a certificate. But that certificate, for example, a ticket, this ticket only works in that period of time, which means, for example, before next Sunday, this ticket can be used. Then you basically purchase the ticket goes to you, and you can use by Sunday. But after Sunday, this ticket actually go back to the ticket seller. Okay, become a new ticket they can sell. Because Amper Group in Hong Kong did a user case on Spartan. It's basically issue NFTs as a movie ticket. With this technology, you can actually recycle the movie tickets. Right, then you don't need always mint new NFTs to sell. Of course, we love them to minting more and more NFTs on Spartan. But for use this kind of NFT technology, you can actually save money, save some costs.
Good. So, Yifan, we talked about one of the other updates for the BSN DDC network was the updated DDC vault. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. in China, I think most of the blockchain infrastructures are offering NFT, technology. It's they don't usually give end user private keys, so that's something I actually hate. Okay, I think one of the benefits of blockchain technology, the public IT system is let user control their own data. If you don't give them the public private keys, then basically you own the NFTs, not them. Only in your database shows they own that. So if, which means if, because there's a chain, right? There's also between the chain and the end user, there's always a business, a platform, right? So when the platform, for example, the company goes bankrupt, then end user lose everything. So that's why, but for so many chains in China, they don't even offer the platform to give their end user private keys. Then in that situation is there's a blockchain infrastructure. They offer the platform. End user can use the private keys, control their private key, but the platform don't have the tool for their end user even to host the private key. For example, there's no MetaMask in China, right? So that's why we actually build a DDC NFT vault for our platforms. Because the platforms are our customers, right? Then they can offer this open source, modify the codes, build, customize into their own vault, and offer to the end user. So their end user have something like MetaMask. Then they can actually manage all the NFT they minted on the DDC network. And we even give them a function is if the platform is go bankrupt or close their website, as long as the end user has their private key, they can transfer their NFT to other platforms. So make sure end user always owns their digital assets.
Good. Let's we've got one question on BSN Spartan. So we've integrated non-cryptocurrency versions of 3 public chains into the network. Can tell us a bit about the governance of the BSN Spartan network, and then also, I mean, if you could contrast it with the governance of a typical public chain. Okay.
Firstly, if everybody follows the hack of to a BN chain, it's they lost like 6 billion, 600 million or 800 million, I forgot the number. Then second day to protect their chain, basically the owner made phone calls. CK made a bunch of phone calls and the whole chain is shut down, which means it's a permission. A lot of people argue, okay, it's a permission, because there's a limited validator node, and you can make phone calls and let them shut down. It's basically a permission chain. But I actually think for this kind of, cryptocurrency kind of business scenario, you need a public chain, which means everybody can set up a validator. So we like 500,000 people together to govern everybody's money. That kind of business requires such. If you make that a permission chain, which means you basically like 20 companies to govern your money. Okay, so I think, but the BSN Spartan network actually is different. It's a cloud services network. There's no money. We don't even know what the data representing. It would be representing some trash bins. It's we have no idea. So then this kind of setup, how we manage the Spartan network with BSN Foundation. Okay, with BSN Fund. But I saw an article say, oh, the network, someone don't really understand technology. So this whole network managed by BSN Foundation, one entity. No, it's BSN Foundation. It's just an NGO. We will have like 10 members by end of this year, 20 by end of 20 to 30 by end of next year. Eventually 14 members, and those 14 members actually set up the validator nodes. Okay, the validator nodes, and then everything on the network is not voted by the foundation. It's actually the 14 member vote on their free will. Okay, then some people say, oh, it's still permission. No, actually for other nodes, 4 nodes, you can always leave and always join anonymously. We call that a public network. Okay, we call that public, and you do everything anonymously on the network, and you can stop, you can join without any permission. Okay, but But people say, oh, there's only 40 members. Hey, well, trust me, for this kind of cloud services, AWS only has 1 member. Google has 1 member. Microsoft Azure has 1 member. Okay, this is already the largest decentralized IT infrastructure in the world to serving traditional IT needs. Okay, but for cryptocurrency as a specific application, personally, I think you need as many people to govern everybody's money. But on our network, it's pure data.
Right.
No, remember, data, there's only probably less than 1% of data representing some kind of value. Half of them basically pure garbage, and some of them is no value to any other people except the data owner. For example, my own picture, you don't even want to hold that, okay? But to me, it has value. So for this kind of data, you don't really need that kind of like 1 million people to safeguard that kind of data. Nobody cares my picture. Okay, so that's I think what we're trying to build is really build a truly decentralized cloud services network in the world. That's the new market I'm talking about.
Thank you, Yifan, and thank you to all of you in the audience who attended the BSN monthly brief for October. And if you have any questions or are interested in working together with us, please do contact us at enquiry@reddatetech.com.hk, and we'll get back to you. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next month.